So for those of you who have just joined us after closed session, I am Maria Haug, Board President. I would like to introduce my fellow trustees, Lisa Pelosi, Julio Oguin, Jeannie Kerr, and Jeff Conwell. Also joining us this evening is our student representative to the board, Mr. Joe Brody. Erica, at this time, would we like to make our announcement for our interpretation?
Absolutely. Maria, would you like to make that comment?
Yes, absolutely. Esta noche en la reunión de la Junta va a haber servicios de interpretación en español. Para poder escuchar toda la reunión en español, pueden ir a la parte de abajo de su pantalla donde hay una bolita que pone interpretación. Hacen clic allí y escogen el idioma español, Spanish. Eso les va a llevar al canal de interpretación. Gracias.
Gracias, and thank you to both our interpreters. I would like to introduce them as well, and that would be Isidra and Marcy. Thank you both.
You're welcome.
And then on to our district staff, Superintendent Dr. Mary Lou Wilson, Chief Academic Human Resource Officer, Mr. Christopher Heller, Chief Business Official, Ms. Andy Stubbs, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent and Governing Board, Ms. Erica Madrigal, IT Systems Analyst, Mr. Derek Machado. We are delighted that you're here this evening in person or viewing on channel 27 or our new YouTube channel. It's not that new anymore. We've had it for a while. A copy of this board meeting video will also be available on our website at www.sthelinaunified.org. In connection with items A and B in closed session, the board received information and provided the staff with direction. I now would like to lead everyone in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On to public comment in board meetings. Let's see. Here I am. So for those of you who are with us for the first time, there is instructions on our website as to how you make public comment at board meetings. Ms. Madrigal, did the public submit any comments on items not on the agenda?
We did not have any emailed public comments items submitted. I do have one hand raised in the audience.
So please call on this individual, and you have 3 minutes to make public comment on items not on the agenda.
Thank you, President Haug. The hand was now lowered, so I do not believe we have any public comment.
Okay, thank you. So now there will be opportunity for public comment on items that are on the agenda. So at the beginning of every meeting, there will be a time for public comment on items that are not on the agenda. And then there will be a public comment time for items that are on the agenda before each agenda item is discussed by the board. So we'll be moving on to item 7A, communications. And we have a Mr. Brandon Farrel. Does he have a presentation?
I'm here. If if you can hear me. That was also my hand that
Oh,
was raised before, trying to be proactive in the process. So I apologize for that.
that's okay, Brandon. Thank you.
My report to the board tonight obviously focuses on our work that we have been, ongoing throughout the whole summer with our remote learning plans, our development of our MOU, our teacher cooperation and engagement. And I wanted to highlight a few of those things, if you don't mind my time this evening. So I first want to say I've never seen our teachers be this engaged in some of the, just the overall structure of how we do things to prepare for a school year. Obviously, this year is much different in a sense where there was a tremendous amount of unknowns. But I really want to tip my cap to my teachers and how they conducted themselves over the course of the summer. We had many opportunities to contact me. We had some different Zoom meetings. We had an array of people participating throughout the whole summer. So I really appreciate all of my teachers and all of the work that they were able to give me as we went through this process. Not all of them, like everybody else in the world, is getting exactly what they are wanting. But I believe that, for the fair most part of the experience, they were extremely professional, and I really appreciated their efforts. A little bit about the process. We started obviously on March 12th when we went to school. It took us through the summer much longer than we anticipated. The work that we did with the district, specifically Mr. Heller, cannot go unnoticed. We participated, Angie, Bond, Mark, Lulsdorf, myself, in developing the schedules. The schedules aren't in the memorandum of understanding that is in the consent agenda tonight, but I feel like those are a huge part of the process that goes into developing the MOU. I tried to highlight a few of the things for my members, such as the schedule, such as giving them some options to be able to work at home under some criteria. I believe we set up the best we can in terms of being able to create good teaching in a hybrid model as best we can. And there were things in the MOU that were extremely cooperative on the side of the district. And I appreciate that, a great deal. This is not easy. Nobody got their way with anything. I believe that we are ready to start. But I also want to mention that there's still a very large, steep learning curve for all of us, students, teachers, parents, administration. We are going to be thrown curveball after curveball, and we're going to have to, go down swinging here. So I fully think that our teachers are ready for the challenge. A lot of us are getting help on the fly, and that will continue for a long time. And as much as, I want to support everybody, we ultimately support all the students. My job is to support the teachers and to let everybody know that, we're going to give it our best. We're going to work through a lot of the issues, and I hope the product, gets to a steady level a lot quicker than what may seem, doable. So I think our teachers are up to the challenge, but I really want to appreciate everybody's work ethic in the process. That's it.
Thank you, Brandon. And I know that do board members have any comments they would like to say? I would just personally like to say, Brandon, thank you for all the time. I think this is, as union president, I think you didn't realize that you were going to be giving up your entire summer to work through all the things that had to be worked through this summer. Usually Usually teachers have a summer vacation of some sort. And I know that you've been working hard all summer long for the teachers, and without your dedication, we could not have put together the agreements and the programs that we have in place. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you very much.
On to item 7B. And we don't have we will be moving on to item 7C, the superintendent's report.
Yes, good evening, President Haugen, board members, and members of the community. I too want to echo that sentiment of a huge appreciation to all of our employees, as many of them have been working throughout the summer to prepare the school sites and the grounds for the new school year. And the transition team, which is made up of many members, administrators, classified, district office staff, our board president, have been working as well to ensure that our plans are ready and that we can serve our children. Many of our parents have been driving by and stopping in at the school sites to pick up materials, supplies, and technology, and that is because all of the technology was collected, cleaned, refreshed, and prepared for our students. And so that's been happening this week, and I believe will continue to happen on Monday as we prepare for that start of school on Tuesday morning. Wanted to also let everyone know that the food services model will modify again to meet the needs of our families. We will move to 2 days a week starting next week, Mondays and Wednesdays, and 2 times during the day, from 8:30 to 9:30. No, I'm sorry, 8 o'clock to 9:30 in the morning, and then 12 to 1 in the afternoon. And there'll be 2 locations. Middle school and high school will pick up meals at the high school in front of Vintage Hall, and then primary and elementary school will pick up meals near the Boys and Girls Club through the drive-through. We will be going to a paid and free reduced status. And so Ms. Baxter, our Director of Food Services, has been notifying our parents about the applications for continued free status and applications and/or methods by which meal cards can be filled for the new school year. And then finally, want to remind everyone that although we are in a pandemic and a crisis, the district of choice process is continuing. And so that application window will open on September 1st, 2020, and that will be for the 21-22 school year. That window opens on the 1st and ends at the end of November. And the difference this year will be that it is an online application. And Ms. Madrigal will be processing that application process in the very near future, and any interested parties will find that on the district website. If they have any questions, of course, they can contact either myself or Ms. Madrigal for further explanation. That concludes my report. Thank you, President Haug.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Oh, President Howe, just to clarify one thing on that report, will the food distribution schedule, can that be found on the district website for our families in case they didn't have a chance to write that down?
Yes, it currently is on the district website under food services, and our webmaster, Ms. Madrigal, and Ms. Haupt are working to make it on a front page button on all 5 websites.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So moving on to item 8, that's the consent agenda. Ms. Madrigal, was there or is there any public comment on the consent agenda?
There was no public comment submitted.
Thank you. And board members, do you have any questions or comments on the consent agenda?
Trustee Howe, I would like to pull 8F, please.
Okay. And anything else?
No.
No. Board members?
No.
So Trustee Kerr has pulled item 8F. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 8F?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 8F.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Madrigal, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Trustee Browdy?
Aye.
Trustee Conwell?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Olguin?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
Trustee Haug?
Aye. Motion carried. Now we go to item, it was 8F, I believe.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. You know, and the reason I pulled that is because I really thought this MOU is like probably one of the most important MOUs that we could have for the school year. And I first want to start and say thank you to everyone who made this happen. I think it is a testimony to the great work of our teachers. The dedication of all of our teaching staff is, you can see it right in this MOU. And I couldn't be more thankful for everything that's in this. And Brandon, I apologize for not thanking you during your presentation, but I meant to do it at this point. I absolutely don't have any questions about it. But this is a perfect example of everyone in our district putting students first, and I am very thankful. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kerr. And any other board members' comments?
I would just echo Trustee Kerr's thoughts there, and just that this is an example of something positive. You know, there's been a lot for all of us personally and professionally in the last 5 months, but this is a positive document for our district that does ultimately benefit our students. You know, it's kind of making the best out of a unfortunate situation, and this is definitely in response to that. So thank you to Mr. Farrel and his team, and of course to the district team for working to create a collaborative document that serves our students.
Trustee Conwell?
Yes, thank you. I too also want to applaud the work of everybody producing this document. I will say that I was quite shocked in the number of certificated staff that are electing to stay home and not work at the school site during this period of time. And I realize this is only during online learning, but it quite concerns me because of the fact that when I look at the world out there and we have people working in grocery stores and people working all over the place, and when I look at our school sites and them having an entire room to be able to craft and teach appropriately, I just think it's a just much more professional environment. So I was quite shocked. I thought that we might have, I don't know, 2 or 3 or maybe 10, but to get upwards of almost 50% interested in staying at home was quite shocking to me. And it makes me nervous as to what the future might bring once the Department of Napa opens up and says, yes, you're allowed in school, how quickly we can get our staff back into the classrooms to be able to teach again. So it's more of I think it's a great thing that we did this, and I think it's wonderful. I'm absolutely shocked as to how many of our staff are staying home and not going to instruct in the environment of their classroom, and during this period of time when there's nobody on campus. And so I am concerned and hope the trustees recognize that in the future, that when it changes and we go back to in-person classes, that to hopefully we will be able to be prepared to have classes start and be able to offer that. That's my concern, is that whenever it's lifted, is the number of people that want to be at home now are going to, for other reasons, choose to stay at home and not teach our students. So that was my, and you read it all in the news. I've been looking at it, and it's going on everywhere about the teachers staying home and teaching from home, and then the big what if they all of a sudden raise it up and allow back in-person classes and unable to have the teachers back in the classroom. I hope it doesn't happen, and I know this agreement doesn't cover that. I just wanted to bring that fear that I have out to the rest of the trustees in the community. Thank you.
Trustee Conwell, I think that's a very valid fear, and thank you very much for bringing that point up. And it's, well, I guess what I will succinctly say is duly noted.
Great. That's all. Yeah, that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted everybody to kind of think about that in the future as to how we're going to do the next step when they all of a sudden say that. And then, okay, thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Conwell and Trustee Pelosi and Trustee Kerr. Do we have any other comments from trustees?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly chime in.
Thank you, Julio.
Also, I mean, obviously that's noted that is a possibility that it could happen. I feel like that the MOU is it's an important symbol. I mean, at the time that we're at right now, it's like Brandon said, not everyone's going to get their way. I'm hoping that, obviously there was a higher number than we expected, but definitely, I mean, all we can ask for is that, as he's saying, that the teachers have never prepared like this before. So I'm expecting that that the home teachers are also going to, do their best. And obviously every situation is different and sensitive and complicated. So I understand that, we would prefer them to be here on site, but I'm also looking at the positive end of this, that hopefully they'll rise to the occasion and be able to be effective, whether they're at home or whether they're on campus. So again, just want to thank Chris, especially and the staff, that obviously Brandon and his team, to be able to put this together kind of on the fly, but very quickly and have it ready before school starts.
Thank you, Julio. I'll just round everything up. I want to thank all my fellow trustees for their very valid comments and also commendations on this memorandum. I would like to end also commending the memorandum itself. We have learned from the administration that our little district, our memorandum is being looked at by other districts as a model. And we heard that a legal team looked at our memorandum and said that it should be the standard for the state. And I think that that's great news. I think that there are a lot of things to consider when you're writing something like this. I want to assure our parents and our community that there are a lot of there's a lot of accountability for the staff in this memorandum, that we're still conducting evaluations, that there are approvals that are in place, that work sites have to be approved. I suggest that everyone that's really interested in it read through it and realize the time that was taken by both the union and by our administration to go over every single one of these issues that had to be addressed before we could move forward. And I just want to say thank you for all the work that was put in to it. So moving forward, on to item 9A.
President Howell.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You need to call for a motion.
I have to make a motion. We have to, I forgot that we pulled it We pulled it from the consent agenda. So do I have a motion to approve item, it's 7F.
8F, the item number is 8F.
Thank you, 8F. Do I have a motion to approve item 8F?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Madrigal, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Trustee Browdy?
Aye.
Trustee Conwell?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Olguin?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
Trustee Haug?
Aye. Motion carried. Now on to item 9A. I'd like to call on Mary Allen.
Good evening. Can you hear me at this point, Erica?
Yes, we hear you, Mary.
Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Wilson and board members. Mary Allen, the Director of Curriculum Instruction. Tonight, I'm going to just give a brief overview of the parent support plan for this year. I think I want to start with just the beginning of this report, which really states that we're all in this together. It's not just the schools this year. We really need to have the parents as well as the community get behind every single one of the students in this community to provide support and assist in their learning. It doesn't end and stop with us. We need everybody's help in this. And I think we're such a tight community, an inclusive community. I think we can do this if we all work together. I also want to state, just in kind of in the opening paragraph here too, is that many of us as educators are now in the role of being advisors as well. And part of our main focus this year is really working on the social emotional well-being of our children, building those connections, building those relationships, making sure our students are fed. We have the internet connection so they can get onto our network to be able to do the work with the teachers and have that live engagement and just take care of the overall well-being of the child. And that's how we're going to start the year. We really want to set the tone for the students and understand that it's relationships, connections. We're here for you. This is hard. This is hard for everybody, and especially for the kids. And as much as this can get crazy for all of us out there, the focus needs to be on every single one of the students in this community this year, and we all need to work with each other on that. That being said, this is what our plan is for this year, because what we noticed last year as well, because the parents are such a prong, they're the third prong in this equation of taking care of the kids, is that we need to provide support for the parents. So the initial part is, how can the parents help at home? And on the report, you can see as you move down, Erica, to number 1 right there, it's just establish routines and expectations. We will be doing that within our classrooms, on the live chats that we're having with the students through the Zoom calls. It's so important. I don't care if you have a kindergartner all the way through high school. Routines, expectations, really important. And so there's just some pointers of what you should be able to do at home to kind of help your child and set the tone for them. And I want to also reiterate that school is in session. We are in session as of next week. So when school starts, Erica, you can stop now. When school starts on Tuesday, whether we're in distance learning or whether we're in person, school is school. We are in school. So really need to get that across to students that this is not pick or choose. We're in school. We're here for you. We want to educate you. So that's the initial part for the parent support. The second part is to really help with the mindset. So I've added a little component for parents if they want to go on to that slideshow, just talking about the growth mindset, that we're all going to have to be flexible, and students, this is a good way to learn this year, is that things are not always predictable, and you can actually get some stuff out of being challenged and just kind of push yourself and realize you're out of your comfort zone and there's many new things that you'll figure out about yourself. And I have a little slideshow there for parents, so you can look at that and kind of discuss that with your children. Parent support number 2 is that I've added another little app as you go down on number 2 right there. It's highlighted where it says distance learning plan for parents and guardians right there. This is a good doc for parents just to see what apps we use within the district that are kind of our central platform in reference to communication, in reference to delivery. So you can go on there and there's an actual, on the far side of it, you can actually see support if you want to get some more information about it. So thank you, Erica, on that one. The other one we're doing is number 3 is a kickoff address. Each one of the principals will be having a kickoff address with their parents that are coming into the school year, just making a video to send out to the parents in reference to just kicking it off and kicking it off with the kids and making them feel very welcome. So again, we're in school. We're going to do a kickoff. We want the kids to get excited. At the lower grades at the primary school, they're going to be doing some one-to-one with parents to really get them engaged at the primary school. Parent support number 4 is that instructional materials. So what's going to happen this year is that the teachers and the school sites will be setting up some parent training in reference to how to use our program. We're going to record some of these so parents can go back over and over and over again. Because what we realized last year is that it's really hard to help be kind of a learning partner with your child if you don't know how to use our material and don't know how to use our programs. So we're really going to focus on making sure we set that up within the next couple of weeks when we start school for parents. Number 5 is we are having a back to school event like we normally would if we were in school, in-person school. We will be just doing a virtual back to school event and each site will give you information on that. Parent support, number 6 is just a parent cadre. There's several parents that have a wealth of tech knowledge. And so what we're going to be looking at is per grade level, kind of making a little team of parents that other parents can go to that really know our programs, have the tech skill, and can help other parents out. We feel like that's really going to be a huge support for parents. And then this year, we also have a parent-family liaison. The initial contact for parents, if they have tech issues or the students have tech issues, will now be the school site. It'll be the library media specialist, and we will also have a parent-family liaison. Again, our main focus is to help you help us. So we're really going to be focusing on taking care of the child, taking care of the parent, making sure we can take care of your needs as quickly as possible so we can get everybody on a smooth transition back to school. And then number 7, I just provided some additional resources. So that's our plan. As a small school district, I feel like we have a lot of supports that we're going to try to give to every single parent this year. And I want to also just state that talking and being with the teachers right now, they are focused and they are ready to go and they are prepping for this year. It is not going to be the same as last year. And I really want folks to hear that. It's going to be a lot more rigorous and really engaging for the students. So thank you very much for the report.
Thank you so much for that information, Mary Ellen. Ms. Madrigal, was there any public comment on this agenda item?
There were no comments made by the public on this item.
Board members, are there any questions or comments?
I actually have more of a comment, and there's maybe somewhat of a question in there. I think that was great. I was really quite pleased to read of all those all of those options in the report. So thank you very much, Mary, for assembling that. I think what I wanted to just clarify for our new parents in the district, regardless of whatever school they might be coming into, will that information be pushed out electronically, all those options, or will it go out in the principal address as you talked about? Will it be information that the parent liaison will be able to have? I just think that there's a lot of anxiety about, for particularly our new parents, like, where do I find that? And who's doing this? And who do I talk to for my emotional, social wellness of my child? So I just want to make sure that all those options are easily accessible for our parents, new and old, if you will, new and returning.
Lisa, we will actually be creating, that'll be coming out from the school sites, but we'll be creating a sheet to where folks know how to access certain areas and certain topics.
Thank you very much, Mary.
You're welcome.
Mary, Ms. Allen, that'll be posted on the district website?
Yes, we will post that on the district website as well.
Thank you. Any other questions, trustees?
I don't have any questions, but I also want to thank Mary for, it's very thoughtful. And I was, when I saw it, I was just like, wow, this is great. The links are fabulous. And it's a great idea to have for this year, having our parent education around what we're doing right now, distance learning. So I think that's fabulous. My question was similar to Lisa's as far as how to access this. And then and my other question would be, so Mary, if a new parent or any parent for that matter does have a question, would they go to the site principal, or would they go to like the media specialist? Or what would be the best place to go to for any kind of questions as far as tech things or?
That'll be coming out from the principals, and we'll have that out because we're getting all the logistics. But what we do know is that any tech issues will go to the site level this year to the library media specialist. So that will be their initial contact, and we will have all that information out to the parents as far as who do they contact, as well as the parent-family liaison and so on and so forth.
Perfect. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time on this.
You're welcome.
Again, thank you, Mary. And I'm just going to make one comment. My youngest is a senior, so I would, I guess, qualify as a old parent, as Lisa said before. The material is great. The material is great. And even if you think that you know everything, it does not help to review. So the videos about social emotional, the importance of social emotional support during this time for your student is well worth listening to and accessing, because it never is going to be enough to keep being reminded of what we can do for our students, even if we have a student in high school. So I would encourage all of our parents to use that material. Thank you. And thank you, Mary, and all the staff that helped you. And now we're on to item 9B, and I'd like to call on Dr. Mary Lou Wilson.
Thank you. And just one moment, I'm going to share my screen and take you to a reopening update presentation that myself, Mr. Heller, and Ms. Stubbs will provide for you. I have a notion that we'll be providing you with COVID-19 opening updates on a regular basis, as we have been since March of this year. From the perspective of the Napa County Public Health Department, a couple of updates for you. You already know that the state and local orders are requiring distance learning, and that is because we are on the state watch list as a county. Due to testing glitches at the state level, the watch list has been put on hold for this time, and so we will be on that list until further notice. Remind you that in order to be moved off of that list, we do have to have a reduced number of positive COVID-19 tests for a continuous of 14 days. So moving from the distance learning into a potential hybrid and or all person would be a transition that we would keep all of our community members, our parents, very well informed about. There is a K-5 elementary waiver that actually Dr. Reluccio, our public health officer, indicated to superintendents recently that no waivers would be approved within the county until further notice. And there is an update to that. I do want to remind you that there are 3 prongs to that waiver. It requires that the parent community of that school support reopening. It requires that community partners support that reopening, and it requires that labor unions support that reopening. So it is a 3-prong approach. The application is fairly complex and detailed and requires COVID-19 officer and COVID-19 contact tracers. There is some caveat at this time around small pocket communities across the state in counties that are on the watch list, where the testing results, the testing positivity is extremely low. And so Dr. Reluccio will look at that with her epidemiologist. However, at this time, no waivers are going to be approved. We do continue to see a rise in testing cases in Napa, and while we do continue to have room in our hospitals, there is certainly an increase in the number of cases in the hospital, and the doubling time, meaning the amount of time that the somewhere over 1,000 cases would double, is now around 25 days. And when I reported to you last month, I believe it was around 17 to 19 days. So definitely moving in the right direction, although a little bit slowly. As a reminder, we are in that phased re-entry approach. We are in phase 1 now, where we are in robust distance learning, and we have those 2 models, option 1 and option 2. Some of our families chose the virtual learning program with Fuel Education. Primarily our students, in large numbers, determined that they would stay with our robust learning program with our teachers. And we are in that place, as I said earlier, due to public health orders. Phase 2 later could potentially take us in person, and phase 3, which would be much later, would be in person as well. Mr. Heller?
Yes, good evening. So as Dr. Wilson mentioned, with the virtual learning, our district, as we collected information and feedback from our community and parents and students, we provided 2 different Zoom meetings on the virtual learning option on Tuesday, July 28th. And within those, we had a TK5 session and a 612 session. So 1 session for elementary families and 1 session for secondary. We had about 100 parents in each session. They were very well attended, and in fact, the questions continued beyond the time that we were allotted. And so we had the ability to create Google Forms and answer those questions throughout the week on our website, and continue to post and scroll information for parents to make an informed choice about which program fit for them. On the next slide, you'll see the outcomes of this is that we ended up having 66 students choose the virtual program. And by them selecting that, you see that at the various grade levels, by them selecting that, the district was able to move forward with the idea of staffing at a ratio of in-person instruction, which would hopefully occur at some point during the school year. And we were able to maintain a mid to high teens approach that would allow physical distancing within our classrooms, so there would be safe movement around the classroom, and we would also have some personal protective considerations that Andy Stubbs will talk about in a few minutes. And lastly, in opening of school launch plans, as the principals came back to work towards the end of July and began thinking about the sheer volume of doing all of this, the request from the virtual learning program came in on the 31st, and principals had a very quick turnaround to get staffing together and to put students in classes, and so those will be released and communicated by the parents. If they haven't done so already, it'll be Thursday and Friday of this week in preparation for launch next week. And on the last slide of my section is just a reiteration of what we heard earlier. We had a tremendous collaboration with our bargaining units, with the classified and with the certificated. Brandon Farrel, the SHTA president, and I worked throughout the summer, at least 5 to 10 hours a week, just talking about what our interests were in coming back to school and developing that MOU. And it was such a productive process that we had very little conflict along the way. We were able to work through many of the things that we had disagreements on, and we found resolutions. So I was very happy with that. I appreciate the support of Mark Wilsdorf and Angie Bond in coming in and helping the two of us develop schedules for students and all 3 phases of our learning plan this year. And within the CSEA Association, we had a very quick turnaround to develop that MOU. And although it still needs to be ratified by their membership, I felt very, very encouraged about the work that we did in ensuring that everybody feels valued and supported on our school campus as we open the school year.
Thank you. For my portion, every division within business operations has been working hard to ensure that we can support teaching and learning as we reopen school. And so our chief focus has been on technology, so I'll talk about that a little bit first. So I'm happy to report that we will have a functioning, refurbished or re-imaged, as our tech team will say, device ready to go for each student. We do have some new Chromebooks and laptops that are coming that are back ordered, but we have sufficient stock to ensure that every child will start the school year with a good device. We are also deploying our peripherals, headphones, and mice for students to help ensure that they've got a quiet workspace and a functioning workspace at home. We're updating all of our Chromebook and laptop policies. And then also we just implemented a new ticketing system for staff so that they can enter technology work orders in a more efficient way. And teachers are already reporting that they like that new process. And we also have a new software approval process to ensure that teachers have what they need. With regard to equipment, we've talked a little bit about hotspots and Wi-Fi that's available. And I would like to make an update. It says that we're purchasing 25 additional hotspots. We've increased that number to 50. So in combination with what we already have, we'll have approximately 110 hotspots available to support students and staff as needed. And so those hotspots will provide a wide range of coverage. Additionally, we've purchased some computer monitors. We have webcams coming for teachers. And we have a stock of replacement document cameras coming as well. So in short, what we're trying to do is ensure that we have all the technology, tools, and licenses that we need to support staff who are working with students. And then next slide. With regard to transportation, we're continuing to plan for the return of students, and we've received all of our leased school buses are at the CAL FIRE lot. They're being inspected on Monday. We're working to develop those bus schedules to align with in-person instructions when students return. Later this evening, the board will consider approval of a contract with Michael's Transportation for dispatch services so that they can assist us just for that year with that particular function. The board will also be considering for approval a contract with a firm called Adroit that provides special education transportation services, and that would replace our contract with Zoom that we had for last year, and that's for students who attend non-public school placements out of the area. Our facilities continue to remain closed to non-district users with the exception of some limited local partner agreements. And that would be for outside use only outside of the buildings, and our local partners would have to manage use on their own. It requires a COVID-19 safety plan, and these special use agreements have COVID-19 liability language within them, and we've got several of those on the board consent agenda this evening. As far as finance and budgeting, we are receiving several pots of one-time dollars that are associated with the COVID-19 crisis, and I've got them listed there. A small portion of these dollars will need to be allocated to our local private school. We'll provide more information to the board about that at a later time. And so what we're doing is evaluating the source of the funding and what the allowable expenses are. And then as we're spending money on items to support distance learning and provide safety equipment, we are assigning those expenditures to these funds.
Thank you, Andy and Chris. As far as communication goes, I would just like to remind the board and the community that our website is robust and has lots of information on it with regards to all of our schools and COVID-19 resources, parent support, the school schedules. Lots of information can be found on our website. We will continue to use emails, text messages, and auto dialers to communicate with our families, whether that's directly from a teacher, one of our counselors at the middle school or the high school, the principals, or here in Vintage Hall with regards to transportation, food services, and whatnot. And then I have been working on video messages throughout the summer and actually recorded one today that Ms. Madrigal will be posting in the very near future. We'll continue with those video messages for our community. I want to remind everyone, it is our goal, it is in our heart and our core that we want our students in person 5 days a week. And we are looking forward to the public health conditions allowing that, and that the state and local orders and collaboration with our bargaining units will take us to that place. President Haug, I do want to let you know that all of our principals are on the line as well tonight for this board meeting. So if any of the board members have specific questions around a school site and or any of the launch plans, they're available to answer questions as well. And so that we can see each other, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing at this point and turn it to you for any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson, Ms. Stubbs, and Mr. Heller. Ms. Madrigal, is there any public comment, or was there any public comment on this agenda item?
There were no email submissions for public comment. If you would like to call public comment to the attendees right now, that'd be great.
Okay. Now, public comment, the instructions are
President Haug, you're muted right now.
Sorry about that. Public comment is limited to the item that we are discussing, and that would be the current situation with respect to the presentation that was just given. So, Ms. Madrigal, may you call on the hands raised for public comment.
If there are any attendees who would like to comment publicly, if you could please hover around the bottom of your screen and raise your hand. If you're attending via phone call, please press *9 now. President Haug, I don't have any public comment.
Thank you. Trustees, any comments or questions?
I had a quick question regarding well, thanks first off for the presentation. I had a question about the facilities. I guess it'd be more, I guess, for all the schools, but I guess more particular for the K through 5. As far as the facilities, you said there's been teachers that have been added to keep the ratios at a certain number. Is there enough rooms to facilitate all of the classrooms, or is there going to be outdoor space that is included as part of the I guess teaching areas?
Mr. Heller, would you like to answer that question?
Yes. So in consideration of staffing, as I mentioned, with classes in the teens, we are able to accommodate all the grade levels on their current sites, and we expanded them by an extra grade level or an extra class per grade level. And, the option is available when we're in person to take classes outside and use the weather to our advantage when we're able to. And then when we're in person, the classrooms are spaced out enough that students would remain distant from one another.
Okay, thank you.
Did that answer that question?
No.
Well, I guess to be a little bit clear was, is there enough classrooms, just because I'm thinking of in the winter time, if let's say we go back to school and you've added, I don't know, an extra teacher and whatever, however many at each school, whether there would be enough space. I know that you guys are within the classroom, but I'm talking about overall with the additional teachers. Is there enough space?
Yes, on every campus, there's enough space to with our extra classrooms that we had available and used in different capacities. When we restructured that and had a teacher in there, we have enough room.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was just thinking more in terms of if we were to come back in the winter, and I'm not sure if kids would.
Yeah, so I guess the succinct answer is there would be no class that would be conducted outside all year long, but we have indoor facilities and outdoor options available.
All right, thank you.
I think I just a comment on all that. Thank you for the presentation. I know Dr. Wilson had shared with us a link from RLS in particular, where Miss Carnes was showing how to log on to your Google Classrooms, and short little, I think it was like a 56-second video, and I'm sure I know more of those are coming, but I just thought that was a really succinct, nice way to help parents look at that in a nice little clip to know how their students are supposed to be logging on. So I encourage as many of those short tutorials as we possibly can provide for parents and students as we embark on this new learning platform. So, thank you.
Jeannie, had you unmuted because you wanted to say anything?
Yeah, is that okay?
Yes.
So I know that there's discussion within other districts as far as possibly bringing back students that are our most vulnerable students. I'm specifically our special education students and our English language learners. So my question is, what is the Napa Health orders? Would we be able to do that as a district?
Really good
with
question.
The current health orders that we have.
Yes, really good question, Trustee Curran. I'm sorry I didn't give that update in my initial opening. Dr. Reluccio has given permission to school districts for one-on-one meetings with students. I think you heard earlier that there's, our primary school will be meeting with each student and their parent individually in the upcoming week. And then, yes, with our special needs students, potentially our English learners, we do have the ability for that one-on-one meeting, of course, with face masks and physical distancing and sanitizing following their leaving. I know that Mary Allen and Chris Heller are working with our special ed team to develop a plan to support those students, and those students really come first, and then they'll be looking at English learners. So yes, the orders do allow one-on-one in small amounts of time with all of the safety protocols in place.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Any further questions?
I have a question about the information presented on, what was it, slide 9, which was one of the technology updates. The first bullet says that about 80% of student devices were received during the drop-off days. So I'm assuming that means the other 20% were not dropped off, and 20% seems like a lot of devices just circulating. So is there any continued effort to get those devices back to the district for upkeep, cleaning, whatever that process looks like?
Yes, and if I may speak to that, absolutely. That slide is already a little bit old, and we've actually received probably another 10% of the devices returned, and we have enough spares to cover the difference and ensure that everybody's got a good device, during that gap when we're waiting to collect the remaining ones. I kind of put that figure in there because actually the IT team and I were pretty impressed because we received probably about as many back as we do get in a typical year in the same kind of time frame. So we're really happy with the return rate actually, and so parents are continuing to call and check in and find a time when they can come and drop in the device. So that's going really well.
Great, thank you.
President Haug, Corinne Cox, our principal at RLS, raised her hand. I believe she wanted to add some information with regards to that video, or perhaps it's something else. Would you allow her to talk at this time?
Yes, of course, Ms. Cox, go ahead. I'm sorry, I don't see all the hands sometimes on the screen.
And I apologize because I did not mean to raise my hand and I didn't realize that I had touched that. So my apologies, that was not my intent. Unless you have a question for me, and then I'm happy to answer.
Okay, I think that we're all learning this device, our devices, and I've already muted myself accidentally several times in this meeting.
And President Haug, Mary Ellen also has her hand raised. I think she wanted to add information with regards to student launch plans as well.
Thank you, yes, Dr. Wilson. I did want to add just a comment related to the special ed, just so everybody is understanding that I met with the special ed department last week, and they will be meeting with each and every parent to develop a distance learning plan while we're in distance learning. So each and every parent will start getting a contact next week, and it'll either be a one-to-one meeting with the parents or it will be a Zoom meeting with the parents to create the plan of what is going to be practical and reasonable and accommodate all the needs of our students. And we already have some great things that are going to be planned. But yes, we are planning to see students on a one-to-one basis by appointment only with our special ed staff.
Thank you, Mary.
Yes, thank you, Maria. I just, I think for our listening audiences, and I know our principals will probably confirm this as well, but whether a teacher has applied and it has been approved to teach from home or whether they'll teach on site, I think it's important to ensure our students and their parents that those teachers will be accessible. There will be office hours, all of that information, that the students, regardless of wherever they're choosing to deem their classroom, those those teachers are available to our families and our students. And I just think that might be kind of important to reiterate that publicly so that our community knows that. I'm sure our websites are loaded with information indeed. So, I think that if that information is not yet on there, I would encourage that information to be on there so that families know that quote unquote office hours exist for them.
Principals, any one of you would like to share any aspect of the work of our teachers? Mr. Cinto?
All right. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, that's a really good picture. Hey, I just want to say, yeah, the teachers, I know even those working from home and at school, we've talked a lot about the Wednesday time and the time when students are independent study work as well as access time, and they plan to be available for those students. And I would say a number of our teachers who are commuting in from far places who do intend to work from home, they'll actually even be more accessible to students and parents because they are working from home, because they're not going to be spending a couple hours on the road each day. So I think that's one of the unintended benefits of the whole MOU and allowing teachers to work from home is they're going to be even more accessible. So I know they're working really hard and looking out for students and families. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Cinto. Ms. Cox? Corinne Cox, did you want to make a comment? Principal from RLS?
Oh, pardon me. I thought I had unmuted. I just want to give a shout out to Deborah Carnes and to Dana Simon for their incredible work on putting together Google Classroom professional development for all of our staff. The district had requested that at the end, but by the time the district asked teachers to do that, they had already spent the entire summer looking at every possible way to make Google Classroom easier for teachers to use and easier for students to use. One of our big takeaways from the spring was how incredibly important it is for students and parents to have a very consistent experience from teacher to teacher. And so they worked really hard to design a template for all staff to use to make sure that it would be cell phone friendly, that things would not be chopped off if they were looking at it on their phones, and to really think about it from the point of view of what students and parents need. So I had to give them a shout out because the work they've done is really phenomenal. And I'm so happy that they took that on.
Thank you, Corinne. And Tanya Pearson, the principal of the elementary school, has her hand raised.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Yes, well, we're Dragons ready to come back, but obviously we'll be doing that from separate locations. But along the same lines that Ms. Cox was mentioning, the tremendous amount of collaboration between teachers has been wonderful. Because we're in a really worldwide global issue of a
Tanya, we are losing you.
Be it from our school site or from home, and that how we're able to pull students together and to be engaged with them has required many transformations in how we present our curriculum, but also luckily takes it as a starting point from what we already had been doing in the classrooms. There is a tremendous amount of folks around the world who have been extremely gracious with the types of instruction and sharing of resources, sharing of webinars. Our staff began learning and really beefing up their talents for virtual platform instructions last spring, even while we were in the middle of it. There was just an amazing amount of staff taking professional development that continued through the summer. All teams reflected in the springtime that though they felt nervous that they had scattered to their households, they were all surprised that they actually worked more together and more closely together, which is amazing because they were working very closely together for the first 2/3 of the year. So I look forward to us finally getting back where we are all actually on the clock working, and that this year I think is going to be poised for a tremendous, though strange, really one with a lot of success built in as well.
Thank you, Tanya. And then finally, Mr. Heller, could you review with the board one more time the schedules that are posted on the website and will be used for all 4 of our schools?
Yeah, as mentioned earlier in the development of our MOU, we did develop the 3 different types of schedule for in-person, hybrid, and distance learning. Those are available on our website. I'm sure they're going to be distributed to each of the sites for parents and students to review. And it's a structured scheduled day. You know, in March of last year, when we were in the midst of the pandemic, we had a little bit more of a flex schedule to work with students. But, you know, we're starting a brand new school year. And so we have a schedule and a calendar that's reflective of a typical school year. And again, our schedules are able to go from distance to hybrid to in-person learning, and they're all very similar in nature. So I'd like to point that out and have parents review that on the website as well, so they get a sense of what a day might look like.
Thank you, Mr. Heller. And Trustee Pelosi, just to finalize your concern and your question, those schedules are in place for all of our students and all of our teachers, whether our teachers working here at one of our school sites or at home.
Thank you.
Everyone, are there any more comments or questions? I am just going to say one last comment. There are, I'm sure, parents in our community and community members that are following everything that the district is doing very closely. And we are repeating some things over and over in different formats, in different meetings. We've talked about the schedules before. And I really think that it's important for us to have everything posted in as many places as possible. And if it sounds repetitive to some of those parents that are very engaged and have the time to follow every single meeting that's held, there are always going to be a lot of parents that this might be the first meeting that they see, and they might be hearing about certain aspects of the reopening for the very first time. So we're going to keep repeating everything. We're going to be putting it everywhere we can on the website, on the school's websites, on the district website. And you can always call. You can call your board members. You can call the district whenever you have a question or concern.
You're back on mute, Trustee President Haug.
I'm just going to finish that off. I'm sorry I put it on mute again, but we did transition, isn't that correct, Dr. Wilson, from the Google question form that was on the district website. We're now directing all questions to the school site where the child is attending. That's correct, right?
Absolutely, yes. Our principals have been back and they have been answering questions, and so we did make that transition.
Thank you. And moving on to item 10A. That would be the approval of the contract amendment number 4 for Dr. Mary Lou Wilson, Superintendent. And as a result, sorry, my screen is not coming up. My page is not loading. Oh, I can do it through the Zoom. Thank you, Erica. I'm sorry, I was trying to use it through the website. So this is our 4th amendment to our employee contract with the superintendent. And I just want to say thank you to Dr. Wilson for all the hard work she has done. This is bringing her salary contract in line with the salary increases of the rest of the school district that occurred as a result of teacher negotiations and the teacher contracts that were made effective July 1st, 2019. So we are bringing Dr. Wilson's contract into alignment with the pay increases that were already extended to the rest of the district. And I would like to open the meeting for public comment. Was there any public comment on this agenda item, Ms. Madrigal?
There were no comments submitted by the public on this agenda item. Attendees, if you have any public comment, please use the icon on the bottom of your screen to raise your hand, or if you are a phone caller, please hit *9 now. There's no public comment.
Trustees, comments and questions?
I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead, Julio.
So I just wanted to take this moment to show my appreciation really for the work that the superintendent has done to better our district, not just in the last 2 years, but just the work that she's done in the past few months. For me, her work ethic, her determination and dedication to our community has been on full display. And I realize that it's a very difficult situation for her to be put in, but I feel like she's risen to the occasion and really just shown the ability to prepare and lead us into the school year and beyond. I also wanted to mention that obviously this process is filled with difficult decisions for her and for her staff, but I also applaud her in inviting and collaborating with our families into making these decisions that are affecting obviously our families and staff, because I know it is greatly appreciated in the community. So again, I just wanted to thank her for her efforts.
Thank you, Julio. Other board members? Mr. Conwell?
Yes, I want to personally thank Superintendent Wilson. I know this has been extremely challenging, and every day you're faced with new things that you never thought of even last night when you prepared and then things all of a sudden come up and it's brand new, and the challenges. And very much appreciate your dedication and your service. It's going to make a difference in the children in our community, and I think it's well warranted. So thank you again for everything you've done for our district.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I am.
Jeannie?
Hi, yeah. Yes, I have such gratitude for Dr. Wilson and the work that she does for our district. I know that I was one of the board members that was around when we hired her. There's 3 of us that hired her, and we could not have been happier with her then. And I personally can't be any more happier than I am with her today. So I want to thank you very much for everything that.
Jeannie, you're on mute. You're on mute. There. You're still on mute. Jeannie, you're still on mute. Okay. So Lisa?
Yeah, that's, I will echo the sentiments of my fellow trustees. And yes, we are lucky to have a leader that comes to work every day and puts our students first and works with our team and gets us through these patches that are unknown and gets us to the next step. So thank you, Dr. Wilson, for showing up and being there. There's gratitude in that without a doubt.
I'll finish, and it was my mouse, so I apologize for that. So thank you very much for everything. I'm very, very much appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Wilson, I would also just, I'm repeating what everyone else has said, but thank you, thank you, thank you. You're able to really see through a lot of the things that are going on and really come up with really fantastic ideas and logical ways to progress through difficult times. And I'm really grateful for that. You always seem to know what to do regarding personnel, how people can fit into what job the best so that our district moves forward in the best way possible. And there's just so many things that you really do well for our district, and we're just very grateful, and I wouldn't want anyone else leading us at this time. It's just, we're very, very lucky. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry, I'm looking for, so do I have a motion to approve? It's item 10A.
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second? Do I have a second?
I'll make that motion, or I'll have a second, Jeff.
Okay. Ms. Madrigal, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Trustee Conwell?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Olguin?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
Trustee Haug?
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you, President Haugen. If I could just mention that it is because of the team that we are able to do what we do to serve our students, and none of us stand alone. And I have great appreciation for not only my executive cabinet, the principals, all of our teachers, and all of our classified employees. We do work together, and along with you as a governing board, putting students first is truly a privilege, and I appreciate and I'm humbled by your words. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And now we're moving on to item 11A, board-related items. The item 11A is a written report I would like to remind the board that. Ms. Madrigal, was there any public comment on item 11A? Or is there any public comment on item 11A?
There is no public comment.
Trustees, any comments or questions?
I was just want to comment that it was great to see, you know, all this put down in one place to read it and again to have that moment to say, wow, we are very fortunate in this community and in our schools to have all of these mentoring options and these support options. And I was glad to see that they have made plans and there's commitment for the next upcoming school year as well. So I thank you for all that and to all those entities.
Any other board comment? I would like to make a comment myself. I was really happy to see that the volunteer tutors are going to try to find a way to continue their work throughout this distance learning period. And any community members that are watching this board meeting, if you feel that you can help be a support tutor for a student during this time virtually, please call the Family Center. And we need every person in the community that's willing to help. And there's a lot of great programs out there to be involved in. Thank you. And thank you to the Family Center. So moving on to item 11B. This is again a written report. So the St. Helena Preschool for All has the executive summary and the director summary. Is there any public comment on this agenda item, Ms. Madrigal?
There was no public comment.
Board members, any comments, questions?
I'd like to say a few things, if I can.
Yes, of course.
I just wanted to really say I'm the executive director of this nonprofit, so I wanted to just really say that on behalf of our St. Helena Preschool for All families and our board members, we're really grateful that we have been able to get the support of the district that they've provided in the last few years. We just really value this partnership and feel that we're making the right steps and preparing our children and families for success in the district. I was really hoping that our parents, that we would have a live meeting so we could have our parents. I know we've gone to board meetings in the past to have our parents speak in front of the board, just to really share their own powerful stories and experiences on how our program has impacted their children's learning and really their own wanting to become better parents. So this last year, hopefully you guys had an opportunity to read the evaluation. That was work that we were very fortunate to complete. Despite the pandemic, we were able to have an independent evaluator look at our program using the district data, which was provided by the district. And for us, we just thought that the results the evaluation that we received was very exciting for our board and our organization, because we now can with confidence can say that our program is helping our students and helping our parents, so that kids are prepared and so that parents are more willing to be engaged once they get into the district, which we know is a huge part of student success. And I also think that part of the work that we have tried to do over the past few years is just to help strengthen that bridge between our preschools and the district. And I feel like we are providing our parents the tools and understanding just to be able to support their children. So again, I just want to reiterate how important this partnership is for our organization to be connected with the district. So again, thank you for supporting this program.
Yeah, I always look forward to the parents coming in as well. It's a reason to pull out my hanky. I always think I love to hear those personal stories. But Julio, you said what I was going to say, and that was kudos to you and your organization, because it was so great to see the results of that data and know that it is definitely making a difference for those children who get to have that preschool experience. So again, it just makes me so happy that it exists and that we're able to do that in a partnership. So congratulations, indeed, for a job well done.
Thank you. Thank you, Julio. And thank you for putting together the report. And the like Lisa said, the data was just, I was surprised. It was really, I wasn't that surprised, but it was really impressive. I wouldn't say, it's not just a small change that you're making in these kids' lives. It's a really huge change. Just where they're starting off from is so much, just giving them such an opportunity to move forward in their schooling with a stronger academic foundation. Moving on to item 11C. At the June 18th board meeting, I'm sorry, we talked about having an orientation for new board members, and I would like to actually talk to Dr. Wilson, call on Dr. Wilson to introduce an addendum. She would like to show an addendum that we'll be requesting to add to the governance handbook. That would be our information sessions for potential board or meetings with new board members.
Thank you, President Haug. Yes, earlier I did share with you the idea around providing an orientation for potential candidates when we have an election year in place. And I'm happy to share with you that Erica Madrigal and I conducted that late in the month of July. It is available on the district website for a number of weeks. It was on the main website, and now it's within there we are. It is within the tab under Board of Education. Although we had a few attendees, we had really great questions, and truly believed that the process was well worth its effort and something that should be put into place in the future years. In addition, we created an orientation schedule that we shared with members of the community that participated. And the whole idea around this schedule and the orientation is to make sure that new board members coming into a seat feel supported, feel that they are getting the information that they need, and are able to conduct themselves as an active board member. It's my recommendation that the process of this, an orientation, whether it be live in person or held virtually, and the calendar of orientation become a part of the governance handbook, that it's a structure that's in place that will occur again, that orientation in another few years when we have seats open, and then be in place forevermore. And so there's two prongs to my presentation tonight. First, my recommendation that these two items become a portion of the governance handbook as an addendum. And then secondly, I am seeking staff direction to staff. In earlier board meetings, you as a board wanted to review the governance handbook, and you talked about the potential of a study session on governance in the fall. And you may not realize it, we're in the fall. And so I am looking for direction as to whether or not you would like to hold that soon, or if you would like to look towards the future. And I would like to remind all board members that as we did have 2 seats open for the new school board term, pleased to share with you that Trustee Kerr will continue in her seat, and then we do have a new board member joining us in at the December board meeting. So there will be an opportunity for new board member training and orientation, and potential time for a governance study session at that time. So one, approval to move to those 2 items into the governance handbook, and then direction as far as the study session and the governance handbook.
So I would like to start this by letting everyone know that I do remember that we sent the governance handbook to everyone's home with a Sharpie and Post-its where you were supposed to make notes, reading it over and over when you had time. In talking with Dr. Wilson, I really feel that the best time for review of the governance handbook would be after our new board member joins us, so that we can review it all together.
President Howe, would you like to call for public comment?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes. Is there any public comment on this agenda item?
There were no comments submitted. If there is a member of the public who would like to comment on this item, I would encourage you to hover down towards the bottom of your screen and raise your hand, or if you are a phone-in caller, please press *9. There is no public comment.
Thank you. I am sorry, community. It's sometimes difficult to remember when you're in a virtual meeting to the procedures for every single step of the agenda. So board members, again, I would like to just again follow up on my my thoughts would be that it would be practical to have a study session of the governance handbook in the beginning of next year. And your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I definitely I took the task seriously. I have marked up my handbook. I have made notes. So I would definitely like to see it happen. And that's totally fine that if it happens, you know, at some point in December or January, that is certainly okay. And I am in favor of adding these additions to the handbook that Dr. Wilson presented. I think it's super helpful.
And I want to remind our board members that one of our when we did our self-evaluations, one of the areas where we did come up short was orientation of new board members. So I feel that this is really going to help us in one of the areas where we as a board have possibly been a little bit weaker than we want to be. And I think that this is as well going to be a very good addition to the governance handbook. I also took my job seriously. I have a governance handbook with little red markers all over in the margins of what we should talk about. I just feel that having a standalone study session along with these next few months that are going to be very, very difficult with our new, with the current situation of online learning, we're going to have a lot of other things going on. And I would ask the rest of the board their comments and their opinions right now.
I'm in agreement with both of you guys as far as postponing the review or the handbook in December at the beginning of next year. I also am glad that this was added. I think it's helpful as well, I'm not even a new board member anymore, but I think it's just important for potential board members to really understand the responsibility and the time and commitment it takes. So I appreciate that it's been laid out and that it'll be included moving forward. So I think it's a great addition to that portion of the handbook.
Thank you, Julio. Jeannie?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, I believe that we should actually do it in December, January, or whatever time is best. I think it makes sense to do this when our new board member comes on, because then he'll be part of the conversation as well. That way we're not having to do it twice. And I absolutely agree that we should add this to the governing handbook.
Okay, any other comments?
This is Jeff, and I do like the addition. I think that's a great thing that we had just left out, and I think it's so wonderful that it's cleared up there. And obviously, it makes a lot more sense to have the meeting in December.
Thank you. And I'm now looking for a motion to approve the addendum to the SHUSD governance handbook. That would be the meetings with the new board member chart and the information session for potential candidates.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Ms. Madrigal, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Trustee Browdy,
Aye.
Trustee Conwell,
Aye.
Trustee Kerr,
Aye.
Trustee Olguin,
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi,
Aye.
Trustee Haug.
Aye. Motion carried.
And President Haug, if I could just confirm with the board that the request is that a study session on the governance handbook happen in December and or January. And if I could inform the board, we were notified just today by legal counsel that the regularly scheduled board meeting that we have currently scheduled in December, we are going to need to look at making a change because the rules have changed around when new board members are sworn in. And so it has to happen within a 15-day window starting on the 11th of December, and our board meeting is scheduled currently for the 10th. So we may not be able to fit that in December, and so I would ask that the board allow you, President Haug, and myself to determine when the most appropriate time for that study session would be to occur.
Board members?
That's fine with me.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On to item 12A, approval of contracts over $25,000. And I'm sure we're calling on Miss Andy Stubbs here.
Yes, thank you. The first two contracts that you see there are for the renewals for students who are participating in our non-public school placements that receive special education services. And then the third one down with Napa Valley Unified, we actually received a revised version of this contract, and the cost is much less, I'm pleased to say. And so instead of $69,219, the revised amount that we've been sent is $37,772.34. And so later I'll be asking the board to approve these contracts as amended to include that amendment. The next one down is with Pasco Scientific, and that's for our board-approved science materials, chemistry and physics at the high school. And I believe that approval was conducted by the board during the June board meeting. The next contract is with Michael's Transportation. We currently have a contract with them for drivers for our transportation program this year. And this adds dispatch services. It'll be very helpful to have Michael's Transportation provide that for us during this kind of transition year as we're looking at a new transportation program. And they will not charge us when we're not utilizing their services. We're not providing transportation, but that will become effective when students do return to school. The next is with Helmer and Sons, and this is associated with the playground project. The board had authorized the purchase of some outdoor musical instruments and a sandbox water table
for the primary school. And so this would be some of the excavation and asphalt work that we need to install those, as well as repairing a sinkhole out of the primary school, which has been causing some pooling of water out there. And then the next agreement, the next two agreements are with our annual renewals again for special education services. And so these are services to support students that have different services within their individual education plans. The next is with Adroit Advanced Technologies. And as I mentioned earlier in the evening, this contract replaces the one that we had with Zoom Transportation last year. And Adroit will be able to provide transportation services as needed for students attending those non-public school placements that you saw at the top of this particular agenda item. And the district is working on a new staff driver job description. And so once that's completed and board approved and put into place, then our intent is to replace this type of contract and utilize a district hired driver. And then finally, we have a contract, a purchase order with CDWG, and that's for the purchase of some technology for teachers. It's for monitors so that they can have a second screen to use when teaching. And we have received those monitors already. We wanted to work quickly on that once we realized we needed those. And so we purchased prior to board approval, which is supported by board resolution number 1919, which has to do with emergency actions by the superintendent of schools, which was reaffirmed during the July 20th board meeting. And I believe that was the last contract. And so with that, I would ask for the board to approve the contracts over $25,000 as amended.
Ms. Madrigal, is there any, or was there any public comment on these agenda, this agenda item?
There was no public comment submitted. Any members of the public who have public comments, please raise your hand. There's no public comment.
Board members, questions or comments?
If I may, President Howe, two things on the Helmer and Sons paving. Really happy to know that we're using somebody local. That's wonderful. Is there, what kind of like warranty are we looking on that work that's done? Is that, I just was curious of how long we have on that in case there's any, you know, side effects after 30 days or whatnot. And then the musical instruments in that same project, are those musical instruments that we already own, or are we going to, or we are buying musical instruments?
They're outdoor musical play instruments that were purchased quite some time ago when we installed the new playground equipment at the primary school. It was part of that project. Okay. And so it was, listed in that particular agenda item. So we've had them for some time, and now we're able to do kind of the asphalt work and so forth that we had to do. And you inquired also about the warranty, and I know that there is one, but I don't know about the duration, so I can find out and respond to the board.
Great. Thank you for clarifying my memory. I appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a question, a couple questions. So my question is, so for the non-public school, the top two contracts, so Andy, now are those in person, or is it distance learning for those students, or?
We've received word that they will be distance learning, I believe, until at least August 31st was the most recent communique that we received from them.
Okay. So it sounds like it could go where it's in person then very shortly.
Potentially, yeah. It depends on they're both within Sonoma County, so it depends on those safety orders and so forth. But we're monitoring that closely, and Adroit offers similar services. We'll begin to introduce, after we have board approval, we'll begin to introduce the parents to this new service and send them information about it and so forth.
Okay. Well, then, so that would be my second question, is that Droid, the transportation company. So if it's distance learning, if it's distance learning, then obviously we wouldn't need that transportation for those students. Is that correct?
Correct. And we confirmed with them that under the terms of the agreement, we wouldn't be obligated to pay them anything unless we were receiving services.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Great. Perfect. Thank you very much.
And Trustee Kerr, it's very possible that they would be meeting in a one-on-one kind of basis, similar to what we're planning to do within the school district. And
Okay.
so, students, it could potentially be served both distance learning and in person.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kerr. You had the exact same questions that I was going to ask, almost verbatim. So any other questions or comments from board members? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve contracts over $25,000 as presented? Item 12A.
I'll make the motion to approve contracts over 25,000.
President Kerr, I'm sorry, President Howe, can we ask for a new motion for the contracts as amended?
Oh, yes. Okay, because there is the change in the contract. It was the third contract listed. Yes. Approval of contracts over $25,000 as amended is the motion I'm looking for.
I'll make that motion. Sorry.
Julio, would you like to second? Okay, Ms. Madrigal, please call the roll.
Trustee Browdy?
Aye.
Trustee Conwell?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Olguin?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
Trustee Howe?
Aye. Motion carried. So on to item 12B, review and consider approval of an updated memorandum of understanding between the St. Helena Preschool for All and SHUSD. So I'd like to call on Ms. Andy Stubbs.
Thank you. And so this would be a first renewal of the Memorandum of Understanding between the St. Helena Preschool for All and the district. And it contains some new language which was board approved in an amendment at a prior board meeting that addresses the addition of a review and approval process for annually determining the amount of the district contribution towards scholarships, if any. And so we worked in collaboration with representatives of the St. Helena Preschool for All and developed a good criteria and process and created a form so that each year the district can thoroughly analyze the Preschool for All's finances and make a recommendation to the board about a scholarship amount. And so with that, I would ask the board, all of the changes are highlighted in yellow, as you can see throughout the memorandum. And in addition to that new language, which was actually included in the amendment that was board approved, we mainly have just some updates and changes in the dates and some reference to COVID-19 compliance and so forth. And so the contract is presented to the board for consideration of approval.
Thank you. Ms. Madrigal, is there any public comment on this agenda item?
There was no public comment received. Members of the public, please raise your virtual hand if you would like to make a public comment. There's no public comment.
Board members, any questions or comments?
I wanted to make a quick comment as well.
Go ahead, Julio.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Andy. She's been really instrumental as far as putting together the revised or the updated version of this MOU and when we put it together last year. The district has been very supportive since the inception of our program. So this MOU just really, for us, solidifies the importance of that partnership. So again, just thank you to Andy for putting in all the effort into this MOU.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Any other comments or questions by board members?
Hal, I'm going to recuse myself just because I'm a board member and the treasurer of the St. Helena Preschool for All.
Noted. Thank you.
And I also was going to recuse myself as the executive director of St. Helena Preschool for All.
Okay. Thank you, board members. And so I am looking for a motion to approve item 12B, the memorandum of an updated memorandum of understanding between St. Helena Preschool for All and SHUSD.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
And I'll second.
Ms. Madrigal, please call the roll.
Trustee Browdy?
Aye.
Trustee Conwell?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
Trustee Haug?
Aye. Motion carried. And then moving on to item 12C. This would be Resolution 20-2 regarding a declaration of intention to provide preschool scholarship funding for the St. Helena Preschool for All.
Thank you. And this would be...
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Stubbs.
I apologize.
No, that's okay.
This would be the annual resolution, and I am recommending a contribution amount of $30,000, which is the same as last year. The St. Helena Preschool for All did turn in the forms timely, and I did review their finances and information that they provided. We had a phone call. We reviewed the information over the phone, and I determined that that would be an appropriate amount to recommend for board approval this year. And so with that, I would recommend approval of this resolution.
Thank you. Ms. Madrigal, is there any public comment on this agenda item?
There were no public comments submitted. If members of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand. There are no public comments.
Are there any board members who would like to make comments on this agenda item?
Again, I'd like to recuse myself on this as I'm the executive director of St. Helena Preschool for All. Thank you.
I will recuse myself as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve item 12C, resolution 2022? I'm sorry, I'm going to start over. I would like a motion to approve resolution 20-2 regarding the declaration of intention to provide preschool scholarship funding for the St. Helena Preschool for All.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. I'm sorry. Ms. Madrigal, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Browdy?
Aye.
Trustee Conwell?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
Trustee Haug?
Aye. Motion carried. Somehow.
President, how may I say something really quickly?
Yes. Yes.
You know, I just want to say I want to thank the district and the board throughout the years for the support of the St. Helena Preschool for All. It's been amazing, the support that's been given, and it's at the beginning of our nonprofit. It was one of the things that our donors would ask is whether the district contributed as well. And so it's really it's the with this money, the $30,000 that we've been receiving, the last 4 or 5 years, has really made an impact for our students just because we're able to leverage that with additional funding. So thank you very much, very much.
Thank you, Trustee Kerr. Moving on to item 13A, future agenda items. We can see the special board meeting coming up on August 27th at 5 p.m. And then we will have our regular, our board meeting will be at the, this is not the August 10th board, sorry. The date is not August 10th, 2020.
Correct. I'm sorry, it's September 10th.
Yes, September 10th, 2020. So that will be the items that are on the September 10th board meeting. Is there any requests to add additional items or any comments?
I have no comments, no.
Okay.
I'm just, my only comment is that I see distance learning, and I understand, like we do always, that we focus on one school site at a meeting. And I guess I'm sounding ambivalent because I feel a little ambivalent, but given that this is such new territory, I mean, will we be able to, I mean, will we be kept apprised of what's going on at the other sites as well, even if it's a minimal bullet point? I don't know. I'm just feeling like if by the time we get to the high school, it's going to be December and, 4 months of school would have gone on.
Dr. Wilson, I believe that we're still going to be having the school reports.
We are, absolutely. So you'll receive reports from each of the principals on a monthly basis within the board agenda. And we will be looking for them to focus on success for all with our students. And I do believe distance learning is what you're going to be hearing about. And then also professional excellence around what sorts of professional development has been occurring to support our students. So this isn't going away, and you will get lots of information with regards to what's happening at our school sites.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say that I forgot that I thought this, but when I was looking at this, I thought the same thing where I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, we might not even hear from the other schools as far as where they're going, which would be a good thing. That means that we're in person, but at the same time, it just seems lengthy, a long period of time to hear about the different schools. But I understand what you're saying, Dr. Wilson, as far as we'll get plenty of information, I'm sure.
Any other comments or questions? So just for our viewing public, only board members are allowed to place future items on the agenda. So I would like to see if there is anyone willing to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Madrigal, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Browdy?
Aye.
Trustee Conwell?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Olguin?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
Trustee Haug?
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, everyone. And good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night.
you, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.